So, what do abandoned airports, weird time zones, and hitchhiking with random Russian guys all have in common? I needed all those things to tell the story on how to cross some strange borders. Let's have a Geography Talk. Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs, and what do we have here? This is a Geography Now t-shirt and a Geography Now mug, of which it's fourth you can get at geographynow.com. Go to the website, check it out. There's a lot of cool products over there. We got shirts, we got mugs, we got drawstring bags. Get whatever you want, do whatever you want with the merch. I don't care, it's your life, do what you can. And as I always say, it is not selling out if it's your brand. So first off, I've been getting a lot of new subscribers ever since I started posting up, YouTube shorts or the short form content. Which, by the way, thank you to all the new people that subscribed. Welcome to this channel. I hope you enjoy it. Hope you like it. I'll try my best to be a good host. Second of all, if you are new to this channel and a new subscriber, you may not be familiar with some of the stuff I do on my channel besides the YouTube shorts. So as you pretty much figured out, this channel covers all the topics pertaining to geography or just learning about the world in general, whether it's through educating you guys while I'm sitting down like this, or whether I actually go out into the real world and show you firsthand. Some of the content I do here is travel content, and to be quite frank, that's my favorite type of content I do on this channel. If I could, I would travel full time. But if you've kind of dabbled into the playlists and looked at my catalog of videos, you've probably come across some hidden gems, of some of this stuff that I've done and places that I've gone to on this channel. So one of the reasons why I started this channel is because I kind of have a fascination with like borders and boundaries and demarcation lines that we people put up on this earth. It's like it's kind of like where the human social world collides with the natural world. It's like everybody, even animals, we have this like natural proclivity to sort of like mark our territory. This land, this area is my domain. Like it's the way how things happen, okay? And if you've learned anything from my content, you've probably learned that in this world, the lines that people make can sometimes be a little strange and oftentimes confusing. So today, I'm going to share with you some of the top strange border anomalies that I have personally traveled to and experienced in my life. And I'm going to rank them from easiest to access to most difficult. And just a heads up, for all of these, you probably will need a vehicle, like a car or a rental car or something. None of these areas you can just fly to and then like get out and see. Like you have to have a vehicle and you have to usually drive far to see these places. Okay, so that disclaimer aside, let's jump into it. Number one, driving down the most heavily concentrated time zone switched road on Earth. This was probably the easiest one because it was all domestic for me. It's all in the USA. It's all basically in the state of Arizona. So there's no international border crossings, nothing. It's super easy. Long story short, this is in the Navajo Nation area of northeastern Arizona. For those of you who don't know, in the USA we have Native American reservations. They operate a little strange. They're almost like little mini countries within our countries because like they have their own legislative system, like they can operate with their own police force, some of them even have their own presidents. It's complicated. Like I made a video explaining this whole thing. You can just check out that video. I'm not going to get too much into it. It takes too long. But so long ago, I discovered there was kind of like a strange time technicality within the USA. See, the state of Arizona does not practice daylight savings time. However, within Arizona, the Navajo Nation Native American Reservation does. So that means despite both areas being on the same longitude, they are 1 hour apart for like half of the year. But here's where it gets even crazier. Enclaved completely within the Navajo Nation is the Hopi Reservation. They are a completely separate tribe. They don't even speak the same language. They're completely separate peoples. And Hopi Reservation does experience daylight savings time. But here's where the kicker gets even crazier. There's a second order enclave of Navajo Nation, Jedito, within the Hopi enclave, within the Navajo Nation. So it's like 3 enclaves that have completely separate time zones on the same longitude, and they're all experiencing different time switches. So I actually went here with my buddy Alka from the Netherlands. He was in my Netherlands provinces video explained. We decided to do this crazy road trip where we went through all of these reservations and enclaves of the reservations within the reservations, and we actually checked on our phones. If you enter these reservations during daylight savings time, the time time actually will change on your phone. It actually geolocates where you are, and it adjusts the time based off of what that area experiences. It's crazy. You can actually try this out for yourself. Navajo to Hopi, Hopi to Navajo, Hopi to Navajo. You keep switching off. I think it's like 7 or 8 times. So go to this area during daylight savings time, and you can experience like 7 time zone switches all within like a 6-hour drive. Anyway, next one. The northern part of Mitrovica in Kosovo. So this is a strange one, okay? This was relatively easy, but due to the political atmosphere, I had to be a little bit mindful of how I would go about doing this. So long ago, I went to the region of Kosovo in the Balkans. I made multiple videos explaining this. I'm not going to explain it too much to you guys. Just check out my videos. I made a whole Kosovo episode. All you got to know is that in the Balkans, there's a lot of tension between Serbians and Albanians, especially when it comes to the whole Kosovo thing, okay? In 2008, the people in Kosovo, which are majority, like 90% Albanian, claimed independence, and Kosovo is like in a weird like gray zone when it comes to like sovereignty because they're like partially recognized but partially not recognized. Anyway, so in order to do this, obviously I would need to drive in there. However, I realized it might not be wise to get either a Serbian or an Albanian car because I wanted to go to both sides of Kosovo, like the Albanian and the Serbian sides. So I figured it might be best if I got a car from a neutral country. So I started my trip in Skopje in northern Macedonia, where I met my North Macedonian buddy Dima. He's been in a few of my videos, which by the way, Dima is North Macedonia's first and only known English-speaking only exclusive channel. So he does funny social commentary stuff. I don't know, follow him if you want. Anyway, so from North Macedonia, I would do a road trip all the way up to Kosovo. So we crossed over into Mitrovica. So if you look at the city, there's the Ibar River. Everything north of the Ibar River is basically where things start to get super Serbian. I think there's only like 2 bridges that cross over that river, and the main one is on the south side of the city, and it is now only a pedestrian bridge. It used to be for cars, but they stopped letting cars pass by, and now it's only pedestrian. They have police guarding it all the time. I went to this bridge, and there was a police officer, and I asked the police, can I get a drone shot of this bridge? And the police, he was like, okay, yeah, but make it quick. So I quickly got my drone shot, and like a more senior ranking officer came, and then he was like, why is that guy doing a drone? And I got arrested. I actually got arrested at this bridge, and I got sent to Kosovo jail. Eventually, they held me in jail for like a couple hours, and then they inevitably let me off the hook. But the point is, that kind of says something about the situation. So when you go to the northern side of Mitrovica, you do notice it is super Serbian, and they even have Zevshan Fortress, which is on top of the hill, and they have a huge like Serbian flag, and it is like Serbian, Orthodox shrine, all that stuff, and it overlooks the whole city. But the moment you cross the Ibar River, it is super Albanian, and you see like Albanian statues and Albanian flags and Albanian this, Albanian. It's such a stark contrast over one river in a area that has so much dispute and conflict. It's a very interesting border crossing. So yeah. Next one, Transnistria and Gagauzia. This one was kind of fun, but it was a little complicated. So in order to do this, I had to start in Moldova. Well, actually I started in Romania because I had never been to Romania before. I just wanted to see it. So I went to Romania first. But anyway, so I went to Romania, I rented a car, and I drove to Moldova, which later on I realized this would mess up my entire plan, but we'll get to that later. So I did this road trip with my buddy Gus a few years ago, and in the worst possible time of the year, in the dead of winter. It was freezing cold. So long story short, Moldova used to be a republic in the USSR, and then they gained independence in 1991, just like all the other former Soviet republics. However, when they gained independence, they had 2 kind of complicated internal units, if that, I guess you could describe it that way. One of them was pretty chill, and the other one was not as chill. The chill one was Gagauzia. The reason why it's a little bit distinct is because it has ethnic Gagauz people. They're a Turkic people group. They're related to Turks. And they kind of wanted to just have their own kind of autonomous region within Moldova, but still being categorically part of Moldova. And Moldova was like, fine, cool, whatever. You guys can have your own thing as long as you're under our sovereignty. The other entity was Transnistria, which basically translates to across the Dniester River. Everything across across the Dniester River kind of became like a breakaway state in Moldova. And most of the people here speak Russian. They also kind of speak Moldovan as well. They have their own currency. They have their own legal system. They have their own police force. They're just everything. It's completely separate. So I wanted to check out this place, but the problem was I didn't realize they don't accept Romanian cars. They only accept Moldovan cars. And I don't even know if they accept rental Moldovan cars, whatever. Anyway, I drove here with my buddy Gus, and we were denied entry through the border. So we were like, okay, how do we get in? We're already at the border. So we just parked the car by the border, and then we hitchhiked in with some random Russian guy. We went in, and we realized we couldn't buy anything because they don't accept any credit cards from, they don't accept Visa or MasterCard or anything from the EU, nothing. They have their own credit card system, nothing. They don't accept it. They don't accept Moldovan cash. You have to exchange it, but we didn't know how, and it was complicated, so we just kind of walked around. And I actually have a buddy in Transnistria, Dimitri, and he met up with us and he helped us. But it was really interesting because this place is like the last bastion of the USSR. They have Lenin statues, they have USSR, memorabilia, and even their flag is it pays homage to the former USSR. It's they got the hammer and sickle and everything. It was kind of funny how we ended up doing all this. But then after Gus and I left Transnistria, we were like, why don't we check out Gagauzia? And along the way, we got a ton of bottles of wine because Moldova is famous for wine. So we got a little tipsy off of wine, and we somehow ended up in Gagauzia at nighttime, and we didn't know what we were doing. We ended up in a weird Turkic enclave autonomous region of Moldova. I don't even remember half that night, but somehow we ended up in Gagauzia tipsy off of wine. Yay. Next up, the Kazungula quadripoint. I know some people are going to be like, technically it's not a quadripoint. It's two tripoints that meet up. And I'm like, shut up, dude. It's only divided by 100 something meter. Whatever. I'll explain later. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me explain. So this is something I have wanted to do for the longest time, ever since I made the Botswana episode and I figured out this thing on the map. So if you look at Africa, if you look at 4 countries, okay, Botswana, Namibia, Zambia, and Zimbabwe, they all converge at this one singular point on a river, the Zambezi River. This is what I consider the world's only quadripoint. Although if you look at the cartographic structure, technically Botswana and Zambia have 120 something meter long border on the Zambezi, and then it branches off. And because of that whole cartographic structure, they literally had to curve the bridge so that it would only touch what was claimed by Botswana and Zambia, so that Zimbabwe and Namibia wouldn't get any of those precious tax dollars, whatever. I think that's kind of stupid. Let's be real, it's basically a quadripoint. But anyway, if you get to the Kazungula Bridge, you can see all 4 countries at once, and I got to do that. So backstory, in 2024, I finished all of my UN country episodes. I went alphabetically Afghanistan to Zimbabwe, and I finished the last one, Zimbabwe, with a big grand finale. I went to Zimbabwe and I invited 18 of my subscribers to come with me for the grand finale extravaganza. We had a lot of fun activities. We did Victoria Falls, safaris, blah, 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 all that stuff. But the one thing I wanted to do for this trip, I wanted to go to the Kazungula Bridge, and I wanted to document it. It wasn't even originally part of the itinerary, but the tour operator, she was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So we were able to stop by the bridge on the Botswana side, and we were allowed to walk on the bridge and go to the actual quadripoint between all 4 countries. You could see Namibia, you could see Zambia, you could see Zimbabwe, and you could see Botswana. Check it out, the Kazungula Bridge. And finally, the UN buffer zone. So the island of Cyprus is the, world's most divided island. There's the Republic of Cyprus, which is mostly Greek. There's the UK overseas territories of Akrotiri and Dikelia. They're basically military bases. There's the Republic of Northern Cyprus, which is an unrecognized breakaway kind of state, only recognized by Turkey. And then there's the UN buffer zone, the entire area that splits up the entire island north and south, and it's administered by the UN. So there's 4 managing sections of the entire island of of Cyprus. And the most difficult part to access in this entire island would be the UN buffer zone. Nobody is allowed without permission. You cannot just enter, although some people illegally try to sneak in and they make like YouTube videos or whatever, but that is very illegal and I do not recommend you break the law. And if you get caught, you will be arrested. So don't do that. Basically, I emailed the UN people and I told them, hey, I am a YouTuber. I teach geography and I'm interested in this area. If possible, would I be able to have access to the UN buffer zone? And they got back to me and they said yes. So like to all the YouTubers out there that are trying to break in here illegally, ask and they'll probably allow you in. Unless if you're like notoriously known for breaking laws and they do a background check on you and they say no. But like you can get access to this place. It's not completely impossible, but like, yeah. For those of you who don't know the backstory of Cyprus, basically in the 70s, Turkey invaded on the north and there was a whole thing, the Greek and Turkish thing, blah, blah, blah. And the UN intervened and came in. And during the time of this war, the main airport, the Nicosia airport, was bombed and attacked. And it was just kind of left as it was. And the entire airport was just encapsulated within the UN buffer zone. I actually got access to the old Nicosia airport. And it's so crazy because it's just like frozen in time since the 70s. And they just recently opened up new passageways for Southern Republic of Cyprus people to cross over into the Northern Cyprus area. Like they're trying to figure out ways to kind of integrate the north back into the south right now. It's still kind of complicated, but they're figuring avenues of reintegrating the north back into the south. And it's a process, but it was a step forward in the right direction to open up the passageways to go. Like if you go to Nicosia, I think it's Ledra Street. If you take Ledra Street, you can actually walk into the Northern Cyprus area. And it's so crazy because like everything immediately transitions from Greek to Turkish. But yeah, anyway, check it out. So yeah, there you go. Those are just some of my top strange border travel stories that I've ever experienced. And yeah, just wanted to share that with you guys in case if you haven't seen those past videos that I've made before. But I mean, this is the type of stuff that fascinates me. It's the type of stuff I like seeing when I travel. I mean, you can have your Eiffel Towers and Colosseums and Great Walls and blah, 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 Taj Mahals. I don't care. I want to see a weird border that juts into a place and has restricted access. That's the type of stuff I want to see, okay? All right. Anyway, hope you liked this video. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Please feel free to do so. And cheers. Hope you're doing well. Stay cool. Stay tuned.